I think that people confuse spirituality with a religion, and it isn't. It is really a choice, a way of life, a belief system. And not everyone is going to have that belief system, but we are part of a greater good, of a higher power, and we have so much more control over that than people realize.
I'm so excited about today's guest because she has impacted my life quite a bit. We are having on medium Matilda, who is an evidential medium and psychic based out of Australia. Now, she has taken social media by storm. I first found her a few years ago, and when she was predicting that submarine that winded up sinking, pretty wild stuff. But she actually has a #1 podcast in the spirituality category of Apple. She has hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. She's collaborated with some of the most well-known mediums, such as John Edwards. And to put a cherry on top of all that, she has a PhD in behavioral economics and gave it all up to follow her calling and what was right for her. Today, we're going to be talking about intuition and how so many of us disconnect from it, and how to reconnect. How do you know what it looks like? And what is it going to do for you? So tune in, because it's going to be a great episode. Hello, Matilda. I'm so excited that you're here today on my first episode. Thank you for coming.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited too.
I had to bring it back to you on this first episode. It's called Free Alignment Check. And
Amazing.
the reason why is because you and I had a conversation about things that I was probably going to go into. And one of the things, and it's stuck with me for 2 years now, is you said I was going to continue my mom's work. And I remember thinking to myself, Mom, you're not the boss of me. But it didn't make sense to me because my mom was very, very spiritual, did a lot of studying on it. She did speaking engagements and stuff, but she never took it to where I think she really wanted to. And though I never sat there thinking that I would speak about such things on the interwebs, I always felt that spirituality was a living, breathing, we're day to day. I'm going to get the mail. I'm going to go take a shower. I'm going to go to work.
Yep.
And all of these different things, what I wear for the day, it all connects, right? And it's about self-empowerment. And then from there, what we do for the greater good, for our good of all.
Yes.
So I had to have you on the first episode because that was a conversation that really resonated with me. And thank you.
It wasn't from me. It was your mum being the boss of you from the other side. But I think that people confuse spirituality with a religion, and it isn't. It is really a choice, a way of life, a belief system. And not everyone is going to have that belief system, but we are part of a greater good, of a higher power, and we have so much more control over that than people realize.
Yes, definitely. Which brings us to the topic at hand that I want to talk about is intuition. Intuition is it's not just for mediums.
It isn't. We are born with it.
Mm-hmm. It is. What is your first memories of your own intuition? Do you have memories of it when you were young?
It's odd. Like many people, not just mediums, but like many people, I will go back and reflect on parts of my life where I just knew something. And one of the earliest ones, and it's not as early as you would think, I was 11 or 12, and I went to school in the UK, and I was sat in an assembly room with pretty much the whole school. And we had all been part of when you have different vocations come and talk to you. The police had come and talked to us that day. And we all had to fill out a questionnaire. And you're talking about a school of 1,000 kids sat in this assembly room. And we all did this quiz and we all got a prize. And I can't even remember what the prize was. But I sat there and I went, I'm going to win this. And yes, my name got called out and I went up and collected my prize. That was my first that I remember. And I know there were many, many others. Like, like many people, we will all have that I know when we are younger.
Yeah. And it's not coming from like a place of fear or anything like that. It's just something that you know.
Intuition does not present as fear. And that's where a lot of people get really confused. They think that intuition is loud and it's going to be that fear. It is often very, very quiet and very sometimes silent. Your intuition can actually be silent. And what I do is teach people to remember, because we've all had it, we've all done it. Rather than teach somebody something new, it is about remembering those skills. Where do you feel it in your body?
So, what does it feel like to be disconnected from your intuition? Like, if a person is listening to this and they're going, well, I don't really know if I have intuition or not.
Well, many people become disconnected. So my experience, and I have taught this for years, is that before the ages of about 7 or 8 is when we are the most connected to intuition, to spirit guides, to spirit in general. Everyone's got a story about a baby or a child talking to a wall, or saying that granddad has visited, or saying, I have seen so many people on social media whose toddler has said, Mummy's got a baby in their belly, and they haven't known. That is intuition. It's not a gift, because we all have it.
When you're not connected, I almost feel like sometimes, and I hear this a lot on the interwebs, talking about dysregulated nervous systems, and it's hard to connect to anything when you're feeling as though you're in a fight or flight kind of mentality.
Yes. When we are unable to regulate our nervous system, we cannot connect to our intuition. So part of any process, whether you are, it's amazing how much self examination work goes into anyone training as to be a medium or a psychic or to use their intuition, because you must learn to recognize your own emotions. So regulating and grounding should be always part of it. And when you are not connected to your intuition, you're going to struggle to make decisions. So, for example, I speak to so many people that don't realize how guided by intuition they have been. So they may have met someone and known that they were going to marry them. They may have known the career they're going to go into. They may have moved to a town just on a gut instinct. And then 5 years later, as life gets busy, as trauma happens, or they may lose their job and they've got other things to worry about, they suddenly cannot make a decision. They move into that stage of inertia. And
like being frozen.
Because
it's like you don't trust what's coming up.
Yep. Yeah. You don't trust what's coming up because trauma, decisions, bad relationships happen. And then you're stuck in this fight, flight, fawn situation. And one of the best ways you can fix that, and I'm not talking about mental health, I'm not talking about mental illness or depression, I'm talking about a standard situation that happens to everyone. The best thing you can do is spend time learning to self-regulate, learning to ground, and that may take some time. Then you can start feeling your intuition in your body.
It's funny, I was talking to you right before we started recording that I went through this, like after my mom passed and all these different, I just completely disconnected. And I feel as though it was like everything seemed to be falling apart in some way, shape, or form. And it was like, suddenly I felt like I didn't know who the heck I was. So when you're trying to have intuition on top of that, like I could not hear that.
No, you can't, because if you don't know yourself, then you cannot you cannot feel your intuition. We are seeing a huge amount of people going through spiritual psychosis right now for whatever reason. But if you are not grounded and you do not have control of your own emotions and self regulation, then that is what's going to happen if you're trying to connect with spirit.
What is spiritual psychosis?
Spiritual psychosis is where people don't practice things like I'm just trying to put it into words that would be understandable, but they're not grounding. They're putting everything into. They believe that God is speaking to them. They believe that they are being drawn in a different way. They are not practicing by non-confirmed bias, because some people will confirm with their intuition, but
Mm.
they're looking at hope instead. There's people turning to God because and who have been practicing mediums or metaphysical specialists, and it is because they're not self-regulating.
So it's almost like a zealot or
Yes,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a little bit of an extreme. I
It
have
is. It's
seen a
the
lot of
extreme
that.
side of it. Yeah, there's a lot of it going on at the moment.
I do feel as though when you're connected to your intuition, there is a piece with it. Many times in my life, I've had, you know, how you meet someone and that everybody's going, "Oh my God, they're so awesome. They're so great." And like your intuition's like, okay,
Uh,
my eyes are showing a nice person, but something
mm-hmm.
doesn't feel right. Um,
Yeah,
I used to always ignore it.
yeah.
I would always think like I gotta get benefit of the doubt. But now I feel like I'm definitely a lot more in tune with it. And that's very empowering. It's a very empowering feeling when you are.
Working on your intuition and having that as your, I don't know, your second thought or your decision making is one of the most powerful things that you can have. But you've got to learn how your intuition presents in your body
Mm.
and understand that before you can really trust it. I say the first 90 seconds. The first 90 seconds is your intuition. Everything after that is overthinking.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's an interesting. Now I have to like observe it.
But it is because we will, and learning where you feel it in your body. So,
Mm.
do you feel it in your solar plexus? Do you feel it in your shoulders? Do you tense? That's an important step with your intuition. But we tend to get that hit and then we overthink it. How many of
Well,
us have met somebody in our younger years that we thought, oh my God, I'm going to marry that man. He is just amazing. And we have that knot in our stomach, that panic. And then we realize that we didn't listen to that. That wasn't love. That wasn't lust. That was run in the opposite direction.
yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. I think that when it comes to intuition, it's usually something that just comes in and it's just a knowing and it's not
Yeah.
because I used to get confused over like those anxious feelings that you get.
Yes.
Like, oh, I got a
Yeah.
bad feeling about this, you know, like
Yeah. But we
and
have
then
to
it's
trust our
fine.
gut. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I think there was a time there that like I just didn't know if I could trust my gut, but like I definitely feel as though it's just a different feeling. Um
It
It's
is.
almost
It's.
like things open up for you when you are trusting your intuition.
I have made so many life choices based on intuition without
Mm.
even researching, thinking. They're always the ones that have taken off for me. They're always the decision that I've made to go in the right way. When I have fought my intuition, when I'm like, no, I have to make this work. This is the decision I made. I have to make this work. Things have gone absolutely the wrong way.
So, on a spiritual side, where do you think you were getting these insights from? I mean, is it from source? Is it from, higher
I
power, whatever it may be?
I believe it's your spirit guides. That is
Okay.
my experience, and we all have spirit guides. They are going to talk to you. And this is something that a lot of people don't understand. They're not going to teach you a new language. They're going to talk to you in the language that you know. They're going to give you
Mm.
information in the language that you know. And everyone is connected to their spirit guides. And again, you go back to that childhood knowing, you go back to that understanding of yourself before you had to decide what you were having for lunch, who your friends were, schoolwork, deciding on a job, deciding on a
Ugh.
university, who wants this, who wants that. That's when we become disconnected from our guides and our intuition.
What would you can you give like an example of like a language or how they would communicate?
It looks different for everyone. So, for instance, my background is that I am a behavioral economist. I have a PhD in behavioral economy, and I learned that I will be spoken to. Those little things in my head, those little feelings are, and then knowing about things is always going to reference something I've done for work. They are going to
Mm.
reference an experience you've had. And the only way that you're going to learn what that reference is, the only way that you are going to really understand it is to start journaling. And I'm not talking about journaling by saying, I woke up today, I had a cup of coffee, I walked the dog, I went to the shops, and I chose to wear my orange cardigan. I am talking about, I had a job interview and I felt this immediately. This is the emotion I felt.
Mm.
I met up with an old friend. This is the emotion I felt. So, or my guides gave me, or I was shown 1111. Now, don't get me on these numbers because I will go off on a tangent. But when you are deciding on something and you are given like 1111 or you're given a red light and you write it down and then that comes to fruition the next day, that's how you know what the language is.
Mm.
So it's all a trial and error. I can't tell you how many times I've been on social media or on live and I get asked, the doorbell is ringing. What does that mean? I don't know. That's between you and your guides. Build the relationship.
So when you're speaking of a language, the symbols would be different than your symbols, but for the most part, it
Absolutely.
comes in like symbols or feelings or
Yes.
scents or something like that.
Yes.
Okay, that
And we
makes
have to
sense.
remember that we have the different levels of spirit. So we have our spirit guides who are with us from when we are born. And we have our loved ones that are in spirit. So we're going to get signs from our loved ones that are in spirit. I'm sure your mum and your dad are sending you different messages in different ways. And we also have the messages from our guides that is a part of our intuition and learning
Mm.
to feel those. And sometimes it's just, it's going to be okay. They're not here to decide for you. Your intuition isn't there to make a decision for you. It's to help you make that decision. And I think that's where a lot of people get very confused.
Yeah.
One of the biggest memories that I have about feeling my guides around me, and now obviously I work with my guides every day, is my eldest son. Was just talking about him as before we started recording. He is about to turn 30. When I went into the hospital to have him, obviously we never know what we're in for when we're having our first
Mm.
child. I felt this sense of being hugged, comfort,
Mm.
like peace. What followed was traumatic, and both of us nearly died. And it could have gone an awful way. But I had that, you know what? I'm protected. They've told me
Mhm.
I'm protected, and everything worked out okay.
I've had a few situations like that where I knew I was about to face something really rough, but all of a sudden, and I was anxious and nervous, and then all of a sudden, that
The
peace.
peace.
Yeah. And you're just like, oh no, everything's going to be okay. I
Yep.
might not like what happens, but it's going to be okay.
And I think that that's where people become mistaken, that our intuition can be quiet.
Mm.
We just have to hear it.
So if you felt disconnected, say you're a person that has, been working on yourself all this time, you've been feeling very disconnected, or even worse, you feel betrayed by your intuition.
hmm
How do you rebuild trust with your intuition?
building trust with yourself. So we go
Mm.
back to basics where we set ourselves up a practice. It can be 5 minutes a day where we find somewhere comfortable and we sit and we meditate to walk ourselves back. Show me what I need to see. Show me in my body where I'm going to feel my intuition.
Mm.
And you sit with that. It takes 5 minutes a day.
It's really funny because I've always had a hard time with meditating, like
Many
always.
people have.
I don't know if it's the ADHD brain, and I would try and try and try. Every once in a while, I feel like I got somewhere and then I couldn't get back there again.
Yeah.
And what changed for me, weirdly enough, I would make a playlist.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like music that had a certain hertz level.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And it was always empowering music, whatever. And I would get up extra early, usually still dark out, and I would go for a walk. And I would listen to the music. I would sit there and look at colors and everything like that. And it was almost as if I felt like so connected with everything. The peace and the connection was insane. Like, and I'm not saying right away, it was something that built up. And I don't know if it's because I have to be moving. Like, I'm the kind of person when I'm writing notes, I need music playing in the background or the TV or whatever.
Yeah, no, and I think this is where their automatic response is, I can't meditate. My mind won't switch off. Anything you are doing that is physical, mundane, process driven, walking, running. I used to get some of the best hits when I was able to run. I'm too old and my body's falling apart now. I can't run. But when I ran, some of the best hits I would get.
Let me tell you, I went for a walk the other day. And I don't know what you call it, like a download or something. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
But I walked into the house and I looked at my boyfriend. I'm like, I need a piece of paper. Sat down and I just started writing. And I remember my friend once said, oh, when you get really good ideas or whatever, you should record it. And I said, no, I wasn't. If I record it, I'm going to add my thoughts. I felt as though I was taking dictation.
Right. Yes.
That was the best way I could describe it.
It's amazing.
It went off for 20 pages. I was like, trying to scribble everything down. But I don't know, something about, maybe it's going out in nature or whatever, but I feel as though I get into that mind space so much easier, where I feel so connected to everything when I go for a walk. And when I don't, it doesn't work. Like I feel completely
and everyone has the ability to meditate. They just have to find what works for them. And for me, as I said, I used to run. Some of the best downloads I've had when I used to be able to run. I like, now I have the podcast going in my ear, whatever podcast or an audiobook, that is for me. Don't listen to it. It's just the mundaneness. You have to find the right narrator. It's the mundaneness of the voice in the back of my head. And that helps separate out for me. But if I really do need to just ground and switch off, I will do a proper meditation.
I have to say, I'm so glad we said this. Like, we talked about this, because I felt like a complete failure in the meditation space.
And I know a lot of people feel the same way.
Yeah.
And I think that there are too many practitioners out there that try and make spirituality, make that connection too hard. It's like you've got to turn around 3 times and shove a crystal up your bum to be able to connect. And it's not that way. It is the most natural thing in the world. You were born with this. This is something that you were born with. Every single person has this.
I was so frustrated because I just couldn't do the meditation thing. And I wanted to feel more grounded, you know. I had an existential crisis and everything in my life has been dismantled. All the things that I thought, and I'm starting to realize, like, rules are just made up.
They are.
The stuff
Absolutely.
I was like with my kids, or when I was growing up, in school and religion, and everything's made up. So who's to say that the only way to connect with source or whatever was meditation? Because there are some people in that space that talk about it as like, that's the only way. That's the only way.
I think that it is one of the only ways to build that. So once you've built that, once you've connected, once you've been learned how you're going to feel it, then you don't need to be a constant meditator. I think it's
Mm.
important to learn how you feel and how your intuition presents itself. And sometimes, and meditation, as I said, doesn't have to be sat in a room going and singing kumbaya. It can be going for a walk. It can be doing the dishes. It can be folding your laundry. Whatever that mundaneness is, where your brain isn't necessarily focusing on have to cook this for dinner, have to pick the kids up, have to
Yes.
do this, have to do that, have to run, 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 run. That once you can let go of that and feel, and
Yeah.
many people build. There's a lot of people out there that have experienced trauma, and they build a protective mechanism around themselves so they don't feel anything. And
Mm.
perfectly normal, perfectly natural, but that protection mechanism is stopping you feeling anything, whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's your intuition. And that's when we become disconnected.
So another great way to get back into being connected is maybe therapy.
I think therapy is a really good tool.
Mm.
I think it's really important that we don't lean on one thing or another, and that we open ourselves up to being heard. And I think sometimes that's really important, is somebody
Mm.
to hear us. But if you want to connect to your intuition, therapy is going to help you understand your own emotions
Yeah.
and then help you understand your intuition.
So I ask 3 questions to every one of my guests.
Okay.
So I'm gonna add it, they're not hard. They're not hard. But what was your alignment check moment that compelled you to share your experience and expertise? Knowing, especially now that like you were PhD, economics, and all this other stuff. Like, what was that moment that you suddenly felt like I have a different route that I thought I did?
Mine was, and this is going to get really personal now. I am estranged from my father and my brothers. My alignment check was having to let go of my relationship with them and I have expectations
Mm.
on it. The moment I was able to, it wasn't a pleasant, I have a very traumatic childhood. The moment I was able to go, okay, they cannot be part of my future. My children and myself are suffering because of their behavior.
Yeah.
That was my alignment check. Not, I wish it was something, I wish they were different, but they're not. And I had to protect my own peace. But that was my big
You
alignment check.
had like that freedom to kind of go the path that you needed to go.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's amazing. So what do you hope that women and your community, I say women because I figure, I'm going to have probably mostly women on here, but your community will gain from sharing with them? What is the thing that you hope that they will?
I hope that they go on to teach other people. Whatever
Hmm.
I share, whatever I teach, we don't live in silos. We should always continue the education. So whatever somebody learns from me, like you, look at you.
It resonates so much because um, I often think about how they talk about, women would share their experiences with women. And I have no problem saying I'm an old crone and I have lots of
You're
things to
not.
share. I'm 54, I'm there. But also I want to feature other women that have these experiences. And I do believe spirituality runs through it. But whether it be through art or music or fashion or whatever, because you have to have a
Whatever
little
it
bit of
is we
beauty in there.
have. Well, absolutely. Self-care is so important. But we have to be the teachers. We have
Yeah.
spent so long being schooled by men. We have spent so
Yeah.
long deconstructing. That's what we have to do, is deconstruct what we've been taught, what we've been told is normal, what the expectations on us. And I am not anti men in any way, shape, or form. I am raising two amazing human beings. But I I'm going to get on a tangent here. There is an epidemic of violence against women. There is a huge
Yeah.
epidemic of violence against women. We cannot teach men. We cannot change men. We can't. We're a couple of generations away from that. But what we can do is empower women to trust
Hmm.
themselves and to understand that they have more power than they think they have or have been brought up to believe they have. And it wasn't until I was raising two men that I realized the misogyny in which I was raised and the belief system
Yeah.
that I was raised in. And I think that as women, it is our job, whether it is in a conversation in a coffee shop, whether it is a podcast, whether it is our daughters or our sons, let's teach what we have learned. Let's share it.
Mm,
Let's not gatekeep.
I love that. I love that. That's amazing. I also have 3 sons, and I often think, they're wonderful. 2 of them are full-grown adults, but, you know, definitely with the feminist kind of values. But with that being said, that is not to negate their masculinity or their masculine energy because, I mean, yin yang. I often think about how, we've been living in a patriarchy for a very long time.
We
And
have.
what is the extremes of patriarchy? We're watching it unfold as we speak.
We
Now,
are.
we could look at it as, okay, let's swing that pendulum over to the matriarchy. But what is the matriarchy? It's usually giving, right? Usually
Yeah.
with the men, it's taking. I mean, they're goal
Hmm.
orientated, all those things. They're going after things. Women are usually giving. Both extremes are dangerous because a woman's
Both
going to
extremes.
exhaust
Yeah.
herself. And
Hmm.
then she's left depleted. It goes back to what my mom always says, for your good and the good of all, male, female, masculine, feminine.
I think that as women, we know how to share and we know how to. I am learning to ask for help.
Mm.
I am
Ah.
learning that other women are going to step up to support us, whereas men live in ego. So we're now looking at the egoic side, which is the misogyny,
Mm.
the patriarchy. But there are, unfortunately, women that
Oh, that buy
basically,
into it. Yeah,
yeah. But
definitely.
as women, we are less likely to be egoic and less likely to be judgmental and more likely to lean into our intuition and believe our intuition.
Hmm.
Whereas men, and I'm not, my wonderful audience, I have a mix. So I'm not having to go at anyone in particular, but there are men that live in that egoic, have to prove myself, have to be stronger. My son's an example of that. He's 30 years old. He's been working on projects that have taken him longer because he's refused to ask for help or
Yeah.
refused to say, listen, I'm finding this really hard. Can you come and share your expertise? Which is why I want women, share your expertise, share what
Yes.
you've got. We should never gatekeep something that's going to help other people and help empower other people.
And in order to restore balance to the force,
I went to
we're
see Michelle Obama speak in Sydney the other week. I was invited. It was
Are you
amazing to watch her
kidding?
speak. And she talks about this sharing education. It's like the words could have come out of my mouth, and I went, yes. But
Oh, that's amazing.
that was an amazing.
Oh, thrilling. I didn't ask the third question.
Yes, let's go. Third question.
So, what is your regular or daily practice that you do to keep yourself in alignment with your purpose?
I have to check in with myself sometimes. As I have become busier, and this is going to sound really egoic, but I've become more popular, and everybody
Mhm.
wants a little piece of me at the moment. And I'm also trying to write and grow a business and do all those things. I have to check in with my purpose.
Yeah.
And my purpose is to not be entertainment,
Mm.
not to be popular, but to educate. And that is my big thing. I will just put my earphones in with an audiobook or a podcast and just potter and do the basic things. And that sort of brings me down to ground myself a little bit.
Especially when you're working with social media, it's like you need it.
It's just such a great place. I've been on TikTok for about 3 years, and I think a lot of people don't realize that I had a thriving practice before I went onto TikTok. I went there to educate about the fake or inauthentic mediums. That's how I want to put it.
I
And
remember I started following you when you first was doing that, and it was around the time that submarine sunk.
yes, yes. That was one of my predictions. My boundaries are up, and you do not have access to my energy. That is the biggest lesson, that if anybody wants to take something away, is that your energy is so valuable. And it's not just about what you are actively giving to somebody, it's where you're actively thinking.
I also
It's
found there was a big change in how things were going on social media with you when you opened up Patreon. You had this space that is more of a safe space in many ways to be able to be a lot more.
It is. It's absolutely a safe space. And it's where I do most of my teaching now. It's not
What's
just
the
'cause
name
what
of the Patreon for anybody that wants to follow you?
it's Medium Matilda.
Medium Matilda. And I know that you can have a free Patreon. You won't get all the access to everything else, but like it's still a great resource.
Yes. I have the
yeah.
free Patreon. There is access to some things, especially any information I've got up there about grief or grieving. Because I
She
have
also has
many
a
facets.
podcast.
I do. I have a podcast called Beyond
Can I
This.
tell you, your podcast? I don't know what's going on, but like I am hooked. Sincerely.
Thank you.
No, like please don't take this the wrong way. In the beginning, it was a little bit like you were finding your footing. Now
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
like I am mesmerized, locked in every time it comes
Thank
out.
you.
I'm always excited. I highly recommend it to several people now. But yeah,
And
amazing.
that's passing on the teaching. I was trying to do something with my podcast that I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. And it took me a while to find my feet with it. You're quite right, because when you start something like this, it's like, well, where do I want to sit? I can't teach mediumship every week. I can't teach about spirituality every week. So I started to channel. Every weekend, I will sit down and I will channel not the whole episode, obviously, but what's the topic? What do I need to bring to people? And I've been doing that for about 2 to 3 months now. And this podcast is 2 years old.
Yeah.
And the feedback has been phenomenal.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, I binge on them because I'll listen to them more than once. That's how good it just really great information, practical information, to just feel grounded and whole. I absolutely adore it. And
every
again,
week
I
there
recommend
is
everybody go in.
Thank you. And there's a guided meditation for those struggling with meditation at the end of every episode. So I do a little bit of, this is the topic we're talking about. These are the predictions. This is what I've got going on. And this is a meditation, and it's working.
I will say this. I do your guided meditation. Usually sit on my back porch because it's peaceful there.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. And do that there. A little hot in Florida.
If you could see the mist and the ice and the fog outside of my studio window, I was rugged up in a cardigan before I came on camera. It is bitterly cold here in Victoria.
Matilda, this was so much fun. I'm so grateful that you came on today. This was so much good information. Everybody should go to her podcast, go to her Patreon. Definitely. I'm on there as well. It just a great resource and information, and just, paying it forward to all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Danielle. It's always so much fun to catch up with you. And strangely enough, I was thinking about you. I thought I must touch base with her. And then I see your name pop up in the Patreon chat. And I'm like, hey, I was thinking about you.
Oh, I was thinking about you for like 2 weeks.
There you go. Intuition
I gotta reach out to Matilda. I gotta reach out. Thank you so much.
Thank you.